Now, whenever you've done a lot of programming work, developing, for example, this function generator, which modulates the pitch, and you'd like to bring that specific function into another program, that's where you can use this copy button. This copy menu allows you to copy anything to anything, and this saves a lot of time if there's envelopes, for example, or effects, or LFO shapes, or anything that's programmed, let's say, within the factory programs that are included with the machine that you like, and you'd like to bring them into your own sound. That's where copy comes in really handy. I just simply hit the button and look at all the things you can copy. Presets, that's kind of obvious. Copy a layer from one to the other, or filter. Instead of just swapping them within a program, you can actually swap them between programs now. Copy the LFO, or here, the function generator. And there's two per preset, so you can actually copy one to the other, send it to a new place. Copy the aux envelope, or any of the MIDI patch functions here, note on or real time. You can copy hyper presets, zones, free run function generators, MIDI maps, channels, effects. Look at this, even the program change maps you can copy between each other. Or, of course, copy the bank. And this is really good for backup. Look at this. The hyper's on the card now. I'm at somebody else's house with a Morpheus. I want to copy it into their RAM. Or, for example, I want to send the presets I have in RAM onto my card. This is where you do it right here. Okay, and I've just done it. There you are. A very handy feature. Hyper presets. Hyper presets. You've heard about them the whole video. Now I'm going to tell you what they are. Hyper presets are actually a way of taking any of the programs or presets that are on the Morpheus and layering them or stacking them or piling up to 16 of them in any way you see fit. I'm going to show you an example of some here. This is a hyper preset called Mood Texture. And to access a little inside look, hit the hyper button. That's where you get to name it. And here's where you get to assign presets to the zones. And zones could be one note on the keyboard. You get to specify the range, or full range, or half. So here we have the flute morph on zone 1. Zone 2 has the organ bass. Zone 3 has a string swell. And as you see, we can go up to 16 of those. So you can really pile it on thick. Now all of those, I'm going to skip around a little. Zone 1 is only from A#2 up to G8. Zone 2 is pretty much in the bass up to A2, and the other one, Zone 3, is full range. So let's play this a little bit before I go over some of the other parts of the menu. Basically, 3 presets simply stacked and arranged together. And here I can go in and I can say that zone 1, 2, or 3, see zone 3 is on volume 99. I can pan them as well in this setting. And a very handy thing up here is the transposition. So if you have, for example, drum presets, and you want to play the drums with your right hand, but in the preset, the drums you want to play are way down here, you can transpose up to 3 octaves and play a kick and a snare with your right hand, and then maybe a bass sound here, and a pad here, whatever you like. So you can transpose and slip things around, retune them, and arrange them. And as you already know, there's 128 RAM locations for hyper presets. So you can go mad. We include 128 in the Morpheus, as well as you can put more on the card. That's what a hyper preset is. All right, we finally made it to the music making portion of our show. Thank God. And I think we've already covered part of it when we talked about the main screen, the multi-timbre setup where you choose a channel, volume, pan position, and sound. That's all pretty straightforward, but the Morpheus takes this one step further with the concept of the MIDI map. You enter the MIDI map domain right here with this button. A MIDI map is basically a software setup where you get to store many settings, like a name. I've named this Ambient Dream, which is the piece I'm currently working on. And here I get to either assign a preset or a hyper preset to any of 16 MIDI channels. And you choose the channels over on this side of the screen. See all those set up right there. So that now when I start my sequence and I have this MIDI map selected, all the MIDI channels fire the right sounds. Here's my volume for each channel, again, pan position. And also the dual stereo effects processors live in the MIDI maps. So, for example, on channel 1, I want the mix outputs to go to FXA bus. And similarly, channel 2, 3, 4, I think in this piece I've sent everything but the bass and the kick to the reverb. Okay, so let's get back here and dial up the bank select. All of these MIDI channels are going to choose bank select number 1, which is the ROM factory presets. Program change map is off. And here, I'm playing a basic drum sound. I have no verb or anything. But here's where I would choose the effect that goes with FXA bus. So if I turn on the reverb, the room, immediately I get some. And I can cursor down to the bottom line and easily make it a longer reverb or a shorter reverb, or go back up to the top and hit warm room. Many different types of reverb algorithms. Small room 1, I won't play every one for you. There's many here. There's halls, chambers, plates, early reflections, and each of these has a somewhat different feature on the bottom or function to change and control. Shimmer. Also you have stereo flange, phaser, stereo chorus, a delay, a cross delay that ping-pongs between channels, an echo. That's what's in FXA bus. In FXB, you can select fuzz, like a distortion algorithm, fuzz light, stereo flange, phasing, stereo chorus, and the delays. Again, here we even have ring modulation. Okay? But for this piece, I'm going to leave FXB off and simply choose one of my favorites, the warm room, and maybe just cursor down the decay time and lengthen that a little bit. Okay, that's how you set up effects in the MIDI map. And when you get everything the way you like it, I can decide now, what's the mix for that bus to be? Here I have 16% of the signal going through the reverb process. 50% would be much, much wetter. And just a little bit, 10%, 12%. Typically I use about 16 for a piece like this. And here's where you'd set the mix for B, but that's not on at this point. And here, of course, at the top of the menu, as it was in the top of the preset edit menu, where you save the information. So once I set everything up and I name it, I want to save it somewhere. So I cursor down, and let's go see what's in the... Okay, MIDI map 00. These are the ones that come with the Morpheus, and they're basic, just simple effects setups, like this. But since I have the card in, I get to number 15, and when I go here, number 16 is on the card, and you can tell that from the asterisk that's there. So let's save it to that, ambient dream. I hit enter, saving MIDI map, bippity bop, snippity snap, it's done. That's what a MIDI map is. All right, so if you want, let's